In this video, I'll be showing you everything you need to learn about Mario Kart in order to succeed. Everything from item management, finding the right character kart combo for you, and so many other little things that you might have just never thought about. So watch through the entire thing and maybe take notes along the way in order to start winning every single race in Mario Kart. Let's begin with your controls, and more importantly, your steering controls. An often overlooked aspect of getting better at Mario Kart is your controls. Now, I'm not talking about the basic controls, A forward, B backwards, I'm talking about the steering controls. There are two completely different ways to steer. One way is motion controls, which means you turn your entire controller, and the other is joystick turning. Now, obviously, I'm gonna recommend joystick turning because it is easier for me personally, but honestly, just choose whatever works best for you. Try out both and just find out which one you like more. Also, if you want extra help staying on the course when initially learning the game, remember to activate the auto steer mechanic, which keeps you on the track at all times no matter what. This function is really not talked about enough, but it is super useful when it comes to teaching someone how to play or improve. After you've gotten comfortable with your controls, it's now time to talk about drifting. Drifting is a huge make or break on how good or bad you can do on any given race. Someone with good drifting can beat someone with bad drifting every single time. So this is a super important concept that you need to practice and make sure you are doing correctly. A drift is performed by pressing and holding the right trigger while turning. This will cause your kart to hop and begin a drift. Drifts are useful because when done correctly, they allow you to cut corners extremely fast. However, the most important thing about the drift is the mini turbo that you receive from doing one. After around a second or two of drifting, your kart begins to create a blue flame. This is known as a mini turbo. And when you're done drifting, this blue flame will actually give you a temporary speed boost. The longer you are able to drift, the bigger mini turbo you are able to create. If you see a purple flame, that is the fastest and biggest mini turbo. The goal of every single turn you should take is to not only take the turn as fast as possible, but also turn long enough where you have the biggest mini turbo possible. It is a super hard thing to balance at first, but over time it becomes extremely easy and effortless. This mastery of drifting on corners will make you a 10 times better player than you were beforehand. You might be wondering why I made you master drifting before learning some of the more basics. Well, that is how important I believe drifting is. You can ignore everything else I say in the rest of this video and just focus on drifting, and you will still be better than when the video started. I promise. Everything else is built upon your ability to play through the track at a high speed. The absolute very first thing you want to learn is how to start the race with a mini turbo. It's super simple but not taught enough to people trying to get better. When Lakitu starts his countdown at the beginning of each race, make sure to press the accelerate button a split second after he says 2. Doing this correctly will give you a boost right at the start of every single race. To win, you always want to be going as fast as possible, and that is why coins matter. You can have anywhere between 0 to 10 coins, and the more coins you have, the faster you go. So start trying to collect more coins because the difference is very noticeable. Another thing you can do to increase your speed is use slipstreams. When driving behind another player, you will start to see a little wind animation around your kart. If you are behind them long enough, you will gain a slipstream. This slipstream is a temporary speed boost that can allow you to pass in front of the person. These can be super useful and have definitely helped me win a couple of times. Another super small thing that can increase your speed is hitting the poles on anti-gravity sections. A surprising amount of people don't actually know that hitting these poles and even other players give you a little speed boost. So on some tracks like Electrodome Stadium, make sure to take full advantage of this in order to stay going as fast as possible. Now, learning the tracks might seem like a super obvious thing to say, but to get better, you need to understand them. You need to understand what the best way to turn is or where certain shortcuts are to help you catch up or gain even more of a lead. Someone knowing a course better than you can be the difference between winning and losing in almost every single race. Now, obviously, this just comes with time and playing the game a lot, but if you want to kind of speedrun learning the tracks, just play through the Grand Prix and just try to remember or write down any tracks that you struggle with or you want to get better at. Now, once you have a list of tracks you want to get better at, just watch the time trial records for that track and take down things that you see. Maybe little notes about shortcuts or better turns, or don't even write it down, just remember it. This will not only help you learn the best turns and lines, but also the best shortcut or mushroom spots on the track. I specifically remember doing this for tracks like Big Blue, Grumble Volcano, and Mount Wario. But if you don't want to do this, don't worry. This really does just come with time and playing the game. I haven't even time trialed every single track after years of playing the game, but I still know all of them just off of online. Just go into every single track that you're playing, trying to learn something, and you will become better, guaranteed. A good character kart combo all comes down to the person playing. Obviously, some kart combos are better than others, and on the screen right now, you're seeing a lot of combos that I actually recommend for people who don't know where to start. But in the end, it is truly all just personal preference. Find what you're most comfortable with, and you'll do good regardless if it's a good combo or not. Obviously though, if your combo isn't that good, you will be at a slight disadvantage, so if you want good combos to, try out, use any on screen that I've been showing, and just find one that works best for you. Use a combo that can bring out the type of playstyle you would like to use. For example, example, if you're more of a front runner, you want to use something with good acceleration, because if you're hit by a lot of items like red shells, blue shells, you want to start driving again very quickly to stay in the lead, so you need good acceleration. So just keep things like that in mind for what type of combo you want to make. Something a lot of people don't talk about or think about enough when trying to get better is the actual items of the game. A lot of people dismiss items as being luck based or you not being able to control them during the game, but this is simply not true. When simplified, all item management is just making sure that you have the best possible items for the situation you are in. When actually attempting to do this, it is a lot more difficult than you think. This is because you not only need to think about your own items, but also everybody else's items, and also when you think they're planning to use them. So the very first step to this is just to learn every single item, and I know I already said this in the basics, but it is super important, so I'm gonna say it again. This will take a little time, but should be pretty easy after just a couple of races. Once you know exactly what every single item does, you have to start thinking of how you can use each of these items to your benefit. For example, the coin. The coin is always seen as the worst possible item, and getting it in first can be a death sentence. However, if you hit a double box and receive a coin and a green shell, the coin can actually be extremely useful. The coin is being used as a bait. The coin itself isn't actually good, but in this scenario, it can be used to block a boo from taking your green shell and leaving you vulnerable. So instead, the boo takes the coin and leaves you with a green shell to still defend yourself. This might be a little confusing, but it will just become easier over time. Think about your items, how you want to use them, what items other players have, and try to use all of this to your advantage. I'm thinking of making a much more in-depth video covering this topic, so if you're interested, let me know in the comments. Now, predicting other players plays into the item management, but this is also in terms of actually playing and not just items. You know, things like if you have a banana and want to hit a person behind you, you want to think about where's the most likely spot for this person to hit the banana you place. Usually this is on a turn and just hidden behind a corner, or just dropping it in front of them while they're right behind you. If you start to think about every decision with other players in mind, you begin to realize how easy it is to predict what other players are trying to do to win. Knowing what other players are going to do can also make you less predictable, because you can choose to do something to throw them off or dodge items. This isn't really something that can just be learned super quickly and just takes a lot of time. The real way to get better with a lot of this stuff is just put more time into the game. Going into every single race trying to learn will help you improve more than any video possibly could. If you want to see how to unlock everything in Mario Kart Wii, click the video on screen. And if you're still here, you might as well subscribe.